integrity, I mean, it's the corporate poster word, isn't it? Everybody loves it.
Oh, absolutely. It's in every mission statement, on every wall.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we all know the real test isn't in that mission statement. It's when, the deadlines are crushing, the stakes are rising exponentially,
Right.
and you have to choose. It feels like a choice between your professional survival and, well, keeping your conscience clean.
Mm-hmm. And that's the fire we're wading into today.
It's such an essential conversation right now, too. The context feels so fragile.
It really is. I mean, the deep dive material we looked at calls this the age of distrust.
That feels right.
And think about it. Credibility that took decades to build can now just vanish overnight, all from one lapse in judgment.
And trust in institutions and leadership,
Yeah,
it's at historic lows.
it is. Which brings us to the core of this deep dive.
Right, because here's where it gets really interesting. The research we reviewed doesn't see adversity as just, a threat to your integrity.
No, not at all. The thesis is that pressure doesn't just threaten your values.
It reveals them.
It reveals and refines them. It's the ultimate stress test, like fire testing the strengths of steel.
So our mission today is to move integrity from this theoretical virtue into something you can use, a strategic advantage.
Precisely. We want to find the blueprint for how to lead with moral clarity when everything is chaotic.
Because what the data is showing, and this is fascinating, is that moral consistency under fire. It's becoming the single most valuable leadership skill.
More than strategic vision, even.
So let's jump straight into that.
Yeah.
The core idea. Leadership integrity isn't proven when things are comfortable.
It's forged in crisis.
Exactly. The real trial starts when resources get thin, the criticism gets loud, or that little voice whispers,
Just this once.
it's easier.
And that's the so what of all of this. Integrity, when you look at it this way, isn't just about being a good person. It's about strategic resilience.
The ability to hold your center.
Yes. To remain undivided in your character while the world around you is fracturing. That's what the sources say. Leaders who do this, they endure.
And the ones who don't.
They prioritize short-term gain and just crash from one crisis into the next.
But the erosion, it often starts subtly, doesn't it? It's not usually some sudden dramatic collapse.
No, it's a slow burn, a series of small compromises.
So where does the rot actually start? Are there quiet forces at play long before the public crisis hits?
It's always the slow burn. And we found a really fascinating concept that details these three powerful, often quiet forces that distort your judgment.
And those are...
Fear, ambition, and expediency.
Okay, let's break those down. Fear.
Fear stops you from making necessary but difficult decisions. So you don't confront the underperforming team member or you don't call out the toxic cultural problem.
And ambition.
When it's unchecked, it makes your personal gain more important than the organization's health.
And the third one, expediency. That feels like the most dangerous one.
It's the dangerous shortcut. It promises immediate results, but it comes at the cost of your long-term integrity.
So these three things, they're the subtle cracks in the foundation.
Exactly. They make a leader vulnerable long before the big crisis actually arrives.
So to understand how to fight these forces, to build that resilience, we need a kind of textbook, a case study for leading under pressure.
And our research points to an ancient leader, Nehemiah.
Right. Tasked with rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem. His story is just a magnificent case study in this kind of moral resilience.
Well, we really have to emphasize this. His mission was moral, not just architectural.
It was more than just bricks and mortar.
So much more. Rebuilding that wall was a statement of identity, of conviction in a completely hostile environment. He preserved his integrity not by, say, avoiding conflict,
But by facing it.
by strengthening his integrity through direct confrontation with that pressure.
And he faced what, modern CEOs and managers face every day. Intense, strategic opposition designed to make him fail.
Or to compromise.
Right. He had his version of political rivals,
Yeah.
insidious internal threats, even paralyzing media fear.
Exactly. And we can draw these direct modern parallels to his enemies.
Okay, so who was first?
First, there was Sanballat. He's the political opponent. This is your source of external pressure, jealousy.
Your main corporate rival.
Your fierce corporate rival
Go on.
who is actively trying to undermine your work, spread damaging information.
And then you had the threat that's often far more dangerous.
Yeah.
The insider.
That was Tobiah, The insidious insider/outsider, he was able to operate within the community.
So he could leverage internal divisions.
Yes, family connections even, to sow distrust and sabotage the whole project from the inside. He is your modern political operator who uses their proximity to power to destabilize things.
And the last one was Geshem,
Geshem was the military threat, just pure intimidation.
designed to create fear and paralyze action.
Which today translates into, say, aggressive regulatory threats or that paralyzing market volatility or just persistent debilitating media scrutiny that makes everyone scared to make a move.
And their tactics. They were masterful, really. They were all designed to compromise his moral standing.
They use ridicule, scorn to demoralize the workers.
They started conspiracies, spread rumors.
Wrote false accusations of rebellion directly to the king. But the most critical move they made was trying to lure Nehemiah into a trap.
They wanted him to step off the wall.
To meet them on their terms where they could control the situation.
And this brings us to one of the most powerful leadership declarations, really, in history. It speaks directly to this need for focused vision.
When they tempted him to abandon the work, he declared, "I am doing a great work and I cannot come down."
That is the ultimate boundary setting.
Yeah,
But that idea of unwavering resolve, I mean, it sounds exhausting.
it is.
Is there a practical way the sources suggest for maintaining it beyond just pure willpower?
Nehemiah modeled the mechanism. It's relentless focus combined with practical countermeasures.
He didn't just hope for the best.
No, he didn't just passively pray. He implemented real-world defenses, he armed the workers, he set up guards, and he physically focused everyone on the single job at hand.
He refused to get distracted.
Refused to let the political theater or the fear get in the way of the immediate, tangible goal.
But the integrity test didn't stop at the external enemies. The project was almost destroyed from the inside by betrayal.
Which, as we know, often cuts the deepest.
So what was happening within his own ranks?
It was hypocrisy and exploitation on a vast scale. The deep dive material describes how the Jewish nobles and officials were exploiting their own people
Their neighbors.
by charging these exorbitant interest rates and even enslaving them to pay off debts during a famine. They were basically mimicking the behavior of the very enemies they were supposed to be fighting.
That's a staggering level of moral failure. How did he handle that? Because if you're going to rebuild physical walls...
They first have to rebuild the moral foundation of the community.
So what did he do?
He didn't just, send out a memo. He demonstrated integrity through action and immense personal sacrifice.
He confronted them.
Publicly. He confronted the powerful nobles and appealed to the moral and theological principles that were supposed to bind them together.
So what did he say?
He essentially asked them, "We are fighting external enemies who want to enslave us, and yet you are doing the same thing to your own people through debt. This violates everything we stand for."
And his leadership by example must have been the key here.
It was the ultimate authority move. He didn't just tell them to stop. He led the sacrifice himself.
How so?
He publicly forgave the debts that were owed to him, and he refused to take his own rightful compensation as the governor.
Wow.
That personal sacrifice solidified his moral authority and essentially shamed the exploiters into complying.
So true integrity demands that courage to address injustice within your own ranks.
Even when those people are politically or economically powerful.
Yeah, okay, so let's bring this historical blueprint into the present. Modern leaders are navigating what our research calls an ethical minefield. Decisions are rarely black and white. You're balancing profitability versus, say, ethical sourcing, or the competing interests of all your stakeholders.
You can't just rely on instinct in those moments.
No. And that's why enduring leadership requires proactive training, not reactive moralizing.
Right. Integrity isn't something you just discover in a crisis. It's something you train for before the pressure hits.
And the research suggests a powerful tool for this: stress scenario exercises.
It's a fantastic framework.
So what does that actually look like in practice? Give us an example of a scenario you might run through.
Well, the framework is designed to help you anticipate those ethical crossroads and rehearse principled decision-making. So clarity of values turns that pressure into purpose.
Cool.
A classic scenario might be, imagine you suddenly discover a safety flaw in your flagship product. It's right before a critical earnings call.
Oh, that's tough. And the discovery is internal, so it's not public yet.
Not yet. So do you bury the report for 48 hours to manage the stock price and appease investors, but potentially risk consumer safety? Or do you communicate transparently right away, knowing it will crash the stock and cost you millions?
That immediately puts fear and expediency into direct conflict with your core values.
Exactly. You need a process to cut through that panic.
So instead of reacting emotionally, you need a disciplined response.
And the research gives us 3 essential steps for that kind of decision-making under pressure.
Okay, let's start with the first one, the pause and pray principle.
The sources use that term, but what it really means is building mandatory reflective space.
A buffer.
It's the necessary buffer between the crisis trigger and your response. You resist that urge for an immediate emotional answer. For a modern litter, this could be a forced walk around the block.
Or a mandatory 48-hour rule on any major irreversible decision.
Or immediately calling a trusted neutral mentor. The goal is simple. Ensure rational, values-based thought overrides panic.
That space creates clarity. Okay, what's the second essential step?
You have to prioritize values over expediency. This means making decisions based on your core values, even when the expedient path is cheaper or easier or more profitable in the short term.
It's recognizing that every small compromise chips away at your ability to lead when the major crisis hits.
Exactly. You don't just compromise on the big things. You compromise when you look at that budget report and realize, fudging one number just slightly would make your quarter look better.
That small, expedient choice sets the precedent for the next, larger one. And the final step has to be communication. Because you can have the cleanest intent internally, but if you mishandle the messaging, you lose all the trust anyway.
That's right. Transparent communication is non-negotiable. It means being honest, timely, consistent.
Especially during a failure.
Yes. This includes the critical act of admitting mistakes and taking responsibility immediately. Trust isn't built when things are perfect. It's built in how you handle the failure.
Because if you fail to implement these frameworks, the cost is so much greater than a bad quarterly report.
So much greater. The unseen costs of ethical compromise. We often only focus on the financial ruin or the reputational hit.
But the price you pay internally is devastating. It affects every aspect of your life.
The ultimate cost is the erosion of your self-esteem, your conscience. It's the loss of peace, of sleep, the damage to your relationships, and perhaps, most practically, the immense energy it takes to maintain a facade or carry the burden of secrecy.
So integrity, fundamentally, it isn't just a professional requirement.
No, it's a prerequisite for human flourishing, for internal peace.
So this deep dive really shows us that integrity requires this continuous vigilance. It's earned one stone at a time, just like those walls of Jerusalem. The mission here isn't to be flawless, but to be trustworthy, to equip you to anticipate these challenges and respond to pressure without compromising your core principles.
And to leave you with one final thought to mull over, one that really challenges the common sort of low-bar definition of integrity.
Okay.
The research suggests that true integrity isn't just about not lying. If you redefine integrity from merely not lying to being undivided.
Undivided, meaning whole in your character.
Exactly. Where your public life, your private habits, and your values are all perfectly aligned. If you make that shift, how might that disrupt your entire approach to leadership and the legacy you're building?